Good morning, everybody. Perrin Lovett here for the Prepper Post News, courtesy of Freedom Prepper, on Monday, November 30th, 2020, the last day of November. We've got the end of the year. Starts tomorrow. Wow. And this is going to be, all of these shows are important. This could be possibly the most important one to date, and I apologize if it runs a little long. I've been struggling for a few days about how to put it together. You can, of course, find the show here at YouTube, where most of you are watching. Comments down below, please. They're great, and I want to keep them going. You can also listen at Anchor to the podcast, and maybe 7 or 8 other places. Part of this is on Facebook still. And also you can find us at the Freedom Prepper community. Major announcement at the end of this show. But let's go ahead and dive straight into what is a bifurcated feature story for the day. Because since last week, there's something I wanted to talk about, and then something much more important came up that's kind of tangentially related. So here's the first one. You can comment about this. I think you're all going to want to talk about the next story. Last week, the Washington Post ran a story about Joe Biden and the pandemic and 2021, and he was talking about a dark winter and getting through things, and he said that, there's going to be a lot of quote-unquote shared sacrifice, and that just got me thinking, okay, the American people have been sacrificing throughout all of 2020. And most of us, I guess, have been sacrificing everything for years. So my question to Joe and the rest of the establishment would be, what's the government? What is the federal government prepared to sacrifice? What are the great resetters prepared to sacrifice? How about the Illuminati, the elite, call them whatever you want to, the big club? What sacrifices will they make? Are they willing to give up just a little of their precious power? I mean, could the federal government, not do, with $7 trillion a year? Could they maybe get by on $6 trillion? And we know the answer. And the answer is the only thing that they're willing to sacrifice is you to the altar of Moloch, much like the children of Carthage in Salambo. Lord, eat. But then, enough of that. Then we had another story. Ever since the popular vote earlier at the beginning of this month, the Associated Press, you may not have heard this, but the Associated Press has called the 2020 presidential election for Joe Biden. You can see Google for more of that. I read that somewhere, probably right below this video, unless it gets banned. Trump has filed legal actions all over the place, or at least in the states that are critical, the places where he was winning, at 8 o'clock on election night when the polling should have stopped. And if you watch any of the media, even Fox News and the Drudge Report now, you would think that every single one of these challenges is utterly baseless. It's all a fantasy. He's refusing to acknowledge reality because he's scared of his $400 million personal guarantee, and he doesn't want to go to jail for what crimes. It's never specified. And he just won't accept the reality. And every one of these challenges is a loser. And he's even had a fight with his sloppy legal team, with Rudy Giuliani and the rest of them. Sidney Powell was just too crazy for him, and that's why he fired her. And then she came to Georgia and Michigan. We're going to talk about Georgia. She came to Georgia last week. I guess it was Wednesday night, as late as she could file it with the federal court, with the Kraken. And I have written a column for the week, rather long, about the Kraken. And more information keeps coming out, so I'm just going to kind of run with what I know right now. I may amend that. I'll link to it at freedomprepper.com. I saw a comment from Bill. Bill is bragging. He lives out in the rural areas where he'll be safe, but his internet's slow and he wants to find out what's on the videos. Bill, everybody else, everything that I talk about is at least linked at freedomprepper.com and frequently in the description below the video. Here you just get my whimsical take on matters, and I'm flattered by some of these comments coming in. You people, you're starting to feel like family to me, doting family. But anyway, the Kraken came along. It is, oh dear, internet in and out here in the studio. It is the case of C.J. Pearson et al. Versus Brian Kemp, what's his name, Raffensperger, and the Georgia Board of Electors, November 2020. I guess that's filed on the 25th in the United States District Court for the Northern District of Georgia, the Atlanta Division. I don't yet have a case number for that. I think, I know it has one assigned, but it's a massive complaint. It's 104 pages long. I've got a link to, I think, the initial version that first came out. The exhibits, the numerous exhibits, are not included, although they are available, and I'm going to have at least a screenshot of part of one. I've read the complaint, and I've looked at several of the exhibits. This is, if we must make a mythological allegory out of this, it is not the Kraken. This is a thunderbolt from Olympus. I mean, this is not a bombshell. It's not a hydrogen bomb. If it's something dangerous, then it's a gamma ray burst that's going to just sear the political planet over. This is probably the most powerful legal proceeding I've ever seen. If not the most, then certainly one of them. And one of the complaints that the CIA, the deep state, the AP, and the rest of them have been making is these allegations are baseless. There's no evidence. They produce no evidence. A donor is suing Trump somewhere because there's no evidence. You want evidence? It's in the exhibits. And the midwits, the gammas, they always came up with things like, oh, there's misspellings. It's poorly put together. They were in a hurry to get it filed. Some of the misspellings that were initially there, well, they can always be corrected. That happens, especially in 104 pages. But that's a good sign, because it means that they didn't use one of the templates that every big law firm has for every court and every kind of action they file in that, where you just basically plug in things. They handcrafted this to include the headers, So if they misspell district in district court, that's a good sign. It shows that this is more of a Lamborghini crafted by hand than another Buick or Toyota rolling off an assembly line. And another complaint is, oh, well, where are the exhibits? Okay, they're out there now, but initially when it was filed, you couldn't see them, but you could see them referenced in every paragraph. See Exhibit 7, here exhibit, there an exhibit, affidavit, video. If they're referencing it to a judge in a court, it means it's on file with the court. And it is there, and it's everything. It's eyewitnesses, it's data streams as collected. I'm not going to have enough time to fully explore this. Read my column when I get it out, and do take a look at the complaint. It's rather technical, but it is most entertaining. It starts with the plaintiffs. They are GOP electors in the state of Georgia, and they're suing Republican officials and a bipartisan state agency. That's another thing that made the Republicans mad, especially in Georgia. Well, they're saying that Kemp is a crook. Yeah, maybe not a criminal crook. And by the way, there's more than just civil complaints in this. This might as well be a criminal indictment. This could even be a justification for some military action. It's incredible what is presented. But the parties are very interesting. C.J. Pearson is a 18-year-old black man in Augusta, Georgia. He's kind of one of the new conservative wonderkin kids, just sprung out of nowhere. And I know somebody that has met him and said he's just a wonderful, intelligent chap, and he's a college student. And he has been selected by the Republican Party, even though he's only 18, to be an elector in the presidential election. So let's have fun with this. Let's use a little of the rhetoric that the left has been giving us for years now. Let's play their game. I want to play their game. This is an action that he and the rest of them filed not on behalf of Trump, but on their own behalf, and I'll get into that in a second, filed under 42 U.S.C. 1983 and various other statutes alleging state and federal violations of law, including 14th Amendment constitutional violations. So what we can really gather from this is that Joe Biden and or people acting on his behalf have conspired and acted to violate the voting rights to disenfranchise a black teenager in a formerly segregated southern city. I disavow this white supremacy and racism, and I call on the Biden campaign to do the same. How's that feel coming back at you? But it's great. It just gets so much better. Stacey Abrams. This thing is so brilliantly put together. Stacey Abrams is a hero of this document. Why? Because it all goes to the Smartmatic Dominion voting system, which is horrible. And everybody knew it was horrible, except apparently for Kemp and Raffensperger when they adopted it. Probably violating state law when they did so. And Abrams is on record telling them several times, do not use this software. This is, it would be better to have the mafia count the votes than this stuff, because you have hard evidence here that this system is not really, it was not designed to count votes in an election. It was designed to rig, throw, and manipulate elections. And that has been an observed pattern overseas and in the United States, to include 2020. And the media keeps saying, every time something comes up, they dismiss it. There's no Venezuela connection. There's nothing. There's nothing to this. Well, in 2006, this system was in place in Venezuela, helping Hugo Chavez, unanimously win elections. The embassy sent a classified cable back to the State Department and said, we don't know what this stuff is, but it's not good, and it's being used to rig elections. Really need to keep an eye on it. And that was a classified cable that we still shouldn't have. We have it because of WikiLeaks, and we had it a long time ago. I saw something else, since this concerns Georgia so closely, and Michigan indirectly through another case. But in December of 2016, something funny happened at the Georgia Secretary of State's office, which ultimately certifies elections. Governor Brian Kemp just happened to be the Secretary of State back then. There was a story that came out of Jed Johnson's Obama Department of Homeland Security possibly spying on that office in Georgia in the 2016 election. And they, I think when I left that, they had concluded that a rogue DHS agent had just gone in and done some voter roll shopping and maybe looked at how the computer systems work. Kind of like somebody was probing out that particular office looking for weaknesses. And I'm just suggesting that maybe they found some. But getting back to the case as it's filed. By the way, this attempt to deprive Pearson, a young black man, of his vote is brought pursuant to 42 U.S.C. 1983, which was enacted in 1876, and it was called the Ku Klux Klan Act, because among many other things the Klan would do was try to disenfranchise black voters in the South. So the more things change, the more they stay the same. And didn't I say the other week, don't ever count Stacey Abrams out. The woman is brilliant. I mean, you may disagree completely with everything she says ideologically, but we get a pretty good indication from this that she's more intelligent and has better judgment, and she's probably more honest than the GOP in the state of Georgia. Absolutely amazing. But here is, where did I got so much here. On page 7 of 104, there's a paragraph 14, which is that was the first thing that just grabbed my attention, and I read a comment from another legal observer who saw the same thing. It's an analyst, this is an affidavit, partly redacted, from an analyst with the 305 Military Intelligence Unit, commenting about how in this election, this system was hacked and manipulated by China and Iran. Military intelligence was aware of this, and that's a critical key that I'm going to get to. There's so much I just want to say. Kind of getting mixed up. He also talks about Eric Krumer, the former head of Dominion, who just, for whatever reason, earlier this year was in Denver meeting with Antifa, which is an ideology. He was meeting with an ideology, and he told the ideology about Trump and the election, don't worry about it. Trump can't win. We fixed it. And there's just more and more and more of this stuff. Where was I going with the military intelligence? Here's what it looks like. It looks like, and I've seen other developments very recently, that this was a trap. This was a plan in place since at least 2016, and that multiple agencies, foreign and domestic, were working on this, gathering information, because apparently they have the data stream coming out of these machines. Oh, here's what I want to say. There's another affidavit from an expert who's looked at this, who actually a guy who helped design it, and he said, yeah, it's made for hacking, and you don't need to wirelessly get into it. You can do it in person. The quote is, all you need is 7 seconds alone with it and a screwdriver, and then you can change everything. And they've got they have the records. 100,000 votes come out, half for Trump, half for Biden. They go into a server, and then at this particular time, 10,000 of them get changed, Trump to Biden. And they've got it all. They've got the people. They have whoever was behind this scheme did not do a good job of hiding, because these guys, these professionals in all these intel agencies, were able to just rapidly trace through all the IP addresses, find individual actors everywhere. China, Iran, Venezuela, Serbia. They've got all the names and all the information. And they also have a lot of paper shenanigans. All the 96,000 unofficial, uncertified fake ballots show up, all for Biden, and they get counted. And they also had, if you voted for Jill Jorgensen, libertarian, there's that old line that you're throwing your vote away for a third party, or you're just voting for the Democrat. Well, in many cases you were, because they have eyewitnesses that watch the counters take a libertarian ballot or a Trump ballot or a blank ballot or a fake ballot and just add it to the Biden stack. Allegedly, this is all going to come out. But so we had, I don't know, military intel, Army, NSA, probably the CIA watching, seizing assets immediately in places like Germany. Somebody was ready. And that somebody, was it John Durham? Possibly. But Trump knew about all this, and he had all of this classified material. And the president can declassify anything for any reason at any time he wants. He cannot violate the Espionage Act. He can give it to anybody he wants for any reason or no reason. So my theory is that he met with Sidney Powell, and got another Christmas tie, angel watching over us today. Met with Sidney Powell, said, here you go, run with it. By the way, you're fired. You're not on my team anymore. So there's no connection between us. She's a free agent for justice. It's beautiful. So here's, and the relief they're looking for to speed this along, the relief they're looking for is most telling. The first thing that they want is for the Northern District to declare, to decertify the Georgia election, meaning nothing can go to the Electoral College from Georgia. In the alternative, which has serious implications, in the alternative, they're asking that all these illegal ballots, and they have them all, they know which ones they are, they want them thrown out so that you have the lawful. Like I said, Trump and his team want to reset the clock to when the lawful election stopped and he won. Now, if they get the primary relief they're seeking, well, what happens? Well, in Pennsylvania, a court just ruled, I think, might have been on Saturday, Friday or Saturday, that the election as rigged in Pennsylvania was unconstitutional, and it'll get, the decision about the electors will get kicked over to the state assembly. under Sidney and Pearson's proposal, what I think they want to do is have no electors from Georgia, maybe from Michigan, Pennsylvania, a few critical states. So what happens? Well, in that case, I mean, this doesn't happen often, so I'm not exactly sure about the procedures, but ultimately it could get kicked to Congress in January. And, and some people in Congress, I'll go ahead and throw the name Mo Brooks out, are ready. He's ready on, I guess January 6th would be the date, to go ahead and drop a resolution in the hopper to have Congress decide the election. The House would pick the president, I think, and the Senate would pick the vice president. And they vote by state electoral blocks, not by party representation. So Republicans would control both votes, and it would be a Trump win. And there's all kind of murkiness, but I am still just sticking to my original prediction and still to my original margins in one of my estimates about a Trump victory. I don't see any way around it. My big question in the column that I'm probably going to tinker with is, what then? I mean, is this sting operation part of a criminal proceeding? Is anybody going to go to jail for it? Trump executed an executive order that didn't make any sense back in 2018 that called for a special review procedure in the event of foreign interference in an election, foreign like, I don't know, Germany or Iran or China. And there are rather draconian measures that the government can take against anybody associated with that, whether they're overseas or especially if they're in the U.S. So if this all works out for Trump, is he finally going to take the gloves off? Is this the storm? I don't know. I don't have an ultimate answer for any of this, but it sure is interesting. And if things go the way I'm thinking, the AP and Drudge and everybody else are going to lose all credibility, which might be a good thing for a guy, with a little studio who does news. I'm just going to stop there because that is probably giving you way too much to think about, and that's just me briefly scratching the surface. Back to the sacrifices that people have been making. I've got a story, a Daily Mail story linked up, and I have so many stories that I've just been rolling along. I hope I can get to a lot of them tomorrow. New Yorkers in food lines, back in the 70s and 80s, it was Soviets in food lines. Now it's us, Americans sacrificing. We have more despair and drug addiction. Oregon has decriminalized hard drugs. Now they want to pay for treatment. That may be the best thing in the world. I still ask, why are so many people resorting to drugs? We've got vaccinations. That word, and I put it in quotes, vaccinations, may start in December. We'll find out. Check this out. I've got all these links, and I've got a big announcement coming. I've got the normal. I've got a great column I'll just link here to UNS about the new normal and the Great Reset. Why it looks like a dystopian novel and not a very good one. War news. This one I've got updates that we had a CIA officer recently killed in Somalia. Why is the U.S. still or ever in Somalia? Why was this man in a position to get himself killed? And they have excuses and reasons, just like all these other countries. Israel preparing for war between the United States and Iran. We've talked about that before. Hopefully it will not happen. Possibly complicated by the Kraken. Possibly complicated by the murder. I'm not going to call it an assassination of Iran's leading nuclear scientist. There's an aircraft carrier. The Nimitz is en route to the Persian Gulf, allegedly to help with troop withdrawals. That would be excellent. I will just go on record against any more pointless foreign adventurism, especially when we have such dire problems in places like Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, and probably where you live too. Let's see, I've got the Saker had a great piece at UNS. I'll just link to my last word was going to be, I forgot about this. I mentioned it on Thanksgiving. Run! they had the Feaster 5 in Andover. Congratulations to all the category winners. It was virtual. Yes, everybody was running alone on a treadmill, and but they still clocked in. There was an app for that. So congratulations, and I hope to God you folks are back to normal, running in a big pack down Main Street next year. I just wonder if they had the pies this year. Probably, I don't know. I wasn't there. Okay, so the big announcement. A few of you obviously already know, but we have accelerated Freedom Prepper communities, and this is an online forum. It's not quite like Facebook. It's not quite like Twitter, but it's a place where preppers and freedom-minded people can gather and discuss things without fear of some blue-haired SJW dropping a ban hammer on you. Now, Scott has put this together. It was sprung on me late last week. I didn't think he was going to move that fast, and I didn't think it was going to look that good. It's excellent. Some of you have already. There were 4. The team members are on there first, and then everybody started popping up. Great, welcome. There are some rules, of course. It's not like when Gab first came about. Anything does not go. If you're breaking the law or harassing somebody, doing something wrong, you're going to meet with problems. We're not going to tolerate that. But if you're just freely discussing ideas from any angle, trying to make sense, you don't have to worry about censorship, and that's a beautiful thing. I understand that new features will be added, maybe like hairs floating around to my nose. It's going to be great. Play with it. You're gonna, I'm on there. I think I was number 3. I was early on this one. You'll probably all find out why I'm not the most social person on social media. But look me up. Look for the possum, the friendly neighborhood possum. And speaking of Gab, I saw Rockaway CCW. Thank you. You've commented several times. I love the comments. I really do. Rockaway wanted to get us out to Gab and Parler, some of these other free speech platforms. Not sure about. I didn't last long on Gab, and I've never been one for the other stuff. I've heard a lot of things about Parler, and we're not going to be like that. We're just going to be the real deal. But yeah, get us out there. Share these videos as much as you can. I want to get the subscribers up. I want to keep the comments flowing, and I want to give you some great information. I really love I've got people discussing the comments that you're leaving now. The one that we provide an honest take, and it's not the end of the world fear mongering. Here, buy something, and we'll come up with stuff to sell, kind of like coffee beans, but it's going to be useful stuff, and it's not going to be geared towards preventing a zombie apocalypse. So you're in the right place, and I especially love having you here. Well, I'm taking this one right up to I got a timer limit on my camera. Check out all the other videos. Yes, a lot of those, they're informational articles put together about regular prepping topics, read by, I think it's a trio of robots. Get by that. If I had 36 hours in a day, maybe I could do some of those. Scott's going to do a video. I think he has already done one to announce the forum. Working hard for you, and I'm going to keep my eye on this. I hope tomorrow I can cover backlog stories, anything that comes out of Georgia or any of this other stuff, or the Associated Press. I'm going to cover that in as fair and balanced a way as I possibly can. And guys, get to commenting down there, get to thinking. Always keep the chins up, keep the faith, and we love you, and we'll see you. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Have a great one.